Hey everybody, this is TJR. I'm going to talk about something on the channel that I have never talked about before, and quite frankly, I kind of have to scratch my head and wonder, why haven't I talked about this sooner? I want to talk to you about my niece, Rosamund Hodge. She is a published author. She has so far released 4 novels through Balzer and Bray, which is an imprint of HarperCollins Books. All of her novels are in what's referred to as the YA, or young adult fantasy genre of novels. Now, I have to admit, the young adult genre of books series is a genre that I'm really not familiar with. I've not read anything except for my niece's work in this genre. And when I think of young adult, I tend to think of movies like The Hunger Games dealing with dystopian futures. In fact, most of the major motion pictures that are based on young adult fantasy and science fiction novels deal with dystopian futures. Now, my niece's work have all dealt with more fantasy realms and have not dealt with dystopian futures at all. A few things I should say about her before I talk about her books. First of all, she has a BA in English at the University of Dallas and a master's in medieval English at Oxford. I think that her studies have played well into how she writes. One thing I'm going to quote from her right now, this is off of her author's website. She writes, "I love some things more than T.S. Eliot's poetry, but not many things." Her first book is entitled Cruel Beauty. Now, this book was largely marketed as a take on Beauty and the Beast. I would say it's loosely based on Beauty and the Beast, and on her website, it's described as Beauty and the Beast meets Cupid and Psyche meets Bluebeard. Once again, she goes into the fantasy realms, creates whole worlds, does all the world building, creates these very enjoyable, compelling stories. And this was her first book. And of course, it's all available on Amazon. You can get it at Amazon bookstores, either as physical books or as Kindle editions. I bought all her books at Barnes & Noble bookstores. You can find them at your local bookstores if you still have local bookstores in your neighborhood. Her second book was entitled Crimson Bound. Now, in spite of the fact that the covers on these books look very similar, I want to add these books are not interrelated. They're not part of like the same universe or anything like that. But once again, it is a fantasy novel. Her author's website describes this book as a novel inspired by Little Red Riding Hood, as well as The Girl with No Hands, with a little bit of Norse apocalypse mixed in. Now, after these 2 books, she released her third book. Her third book was entitled Bright Smoke, Cold Fire. To everybody's surprise, Bright Smoke, Cold Fire was part 1 of a 2-part novel. And that will bring me to her 4th book. Little bookmarker there. Entitled Endless Water, Starless Sky, which is the sequel to Bright Smoke and Cold Fire. And without giving away too much, her author's website describes the book as a retelling of Romeo and Juliet in the last city left alive after a zombie apocalypse. You know, when you mix Shakespeare and zombies, you pretty much have me hooked. I am there. I'm ready to check out your work. And anyway, so as I said before, I really am going to recommend, you might want to go ahead and start with the 2-parter. I have nothing against, you starting with that. I think that might be a good place to start. But if not, I would recommend you start with her first book, Cruel Beauty, to Crimson Bound, and then start devouring the 2-part book here. I don't know if her next book will in any way be connected to this 2-parter in any way, shape, or form, or if in any way these will be hooked with these books. In fact, I think recently someone asked her if she would ever do another story set in this universe. She said no. She said everything she wanted to say with these characters. Don't know if she ever intends to get into an epic book series like something like The Hunger Games, where it spreads out over 4, 5, 6 novels, that sort of thing. Have no idea. I do know she's hard at work at a new book. I do know that I don't get to know anything about it until it comes out, except maybe a little bit of teaser information, not much. As I find out more, I will tell you. But once again, you can find all of her books at Amazon. You can order them as both hardcovers, soft covers, at least the older ones are available as soft covers, as Kindle editions, audiobooks, I believe. I know the first two are available as audiobooks. I'm pretty sure these two are. I haven't really checked. But you can order them, like I said, in multiple formats, whether you prefer physical or digital books. And of course, at your local bookstores, provided, of course, you have a local bookstore in your neighborhood. I think these are really well written, and I know some of you might think, well, hey, TJ, you're biased. This is your niece. Come on. Hopefully, if you follow this channel, you know that I try to stay as objectively fair as I can. Yes, I might be a little bit biased because it's my niece, but I think she writes really, really well, and I think she writes in a very entertaining and engrossing fashion, and that you get really pulled into the worlds that she creates, the stories and the action and the adventure. And yes, romance. These are young adult fantasy novels, so yes, there's romance in there too. And what's wrong with a little romance once in a while? Hey, if you check out her books, be sure to leave her some reviews on either Amazon or on websites like Goodreads. And of course, you can check out the other reviews that have been released on her books too. But once again, I just had to say something now with the release of her fourth novel. And once again, surprised I haven't talked about this sooner. And everybody, I just want to thank you for indulging me while I talk about my niece. And I hope that maybe you will check out some of her books. And if not, if you have friends that are into the young adult fantasy genre, that you might let them know about her work and to spread the word. Everybody, as always, I thank you so much for subscribing to this channel and for leaving your comments on the videos. I can't appreciate it enough, and I really appreciate the fact that you folks share these videos on your social media. Once again, if you have not subscribed, please do so, and as always, click notifications so you can know when I release new videos. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.